Hello everyone, it is me, Game Penguin 21, and today we are going to be talking about the Xbox Showcase. And of course, the Xbox Showcase happened over this weekend, and I didn't watch it. Mainly because I didn't really expect too much from it, and I'm a little bit upset that I actually didn't, because there was some actually good stuff to be shown at this showcase. For just a quick rundown of some of the games, this isn't limited to this specifically, but some of the most notable ones were Doom: The Dark Ages, State of Decay 3, in my personal opinion seems like a really good one, Perfect Dark, which a lot of people didn't see coming, World of Warcraft War Within. I don't know if that's just still interesting, but okay. Indiana Jones and Avowed got their mandatory needing of push in the marketing department, I guess. A new Fable stuff, Flight Sim, and South of Midnight as well. Again, all these games, not all of them are like the best, but the one that did seem to do something very weird was actually Gears of War E-Day, which seems to be a new Gears project, which is quite surprising. All of these games, in sort, had a bunch of marketing material and stuff about them, and we don't really need to go over any more than that because we're talking here today about Fanboys, and they are very upset that a lot of these games are actually games, and how, if I'm remembering this correctly, most of the actual console showcase did seem to be taken up by, at least I guess 50% of it did seem to be taken up by the Call of Duty showcase, because obviously Call of Duty is one of their big pushes this time. But seeing as how they had basically twice as many games, I think, as Sony to be announced at this, most of which were games that they had like the marketing rights and stuff to, kind of makes you think and kind of makes you understand and wonder, just how interesting some of these things are. But of course, we're going to be starting off with a bit of an interesting cope from the Xbox, from the PlayStation guys. But first, of course, I do have to get to the shill bits. One case of fire by the end of the year. Please, thank you. I love you. But moving on. Japan Hates Xbox, of course, is stating that a reminder that 100% of the games shown at the Xbox Showcase will be multi-platform. Be it on PC or PS5, Xbox has no true exclusives. Which, okay, do you want a cookie? Do you want something for that? Again, I don't personally care what Xbox does because, quite frankly, Xbox is a big company. They can make their own decisions, whatever they want to do. And they're actually being very pro-consumer about this whole situation. And they're at least about their whole new business practice, I should say, specifically. They like it, and it makes them a lot of money, and, their market value does seem to be going up. But, again, we'll have to see some of these games coming out here. So, one of the more weirdest copes with this is actually from Unleashed, who we haven't seen on this channel in quite some time. He says, and I quote, "Sorry, Xbox, but you just have to deal with it," saying that Astro's Playroom, or the new Astro's game, outdid everything in the Xbox gaming showcase. Let me repeat that for the people in the back who are a little bit slow. Astro's Playroom outdid everything in the Xbox Showcase. I don't know how you breathe, but, Astro's Playroom was good, but you're telling me it's better than Doom, Call of Duty, and really nothing else here on this list actually is good. Well, actually, no, Stalker 2. Probably Stalker 2 are my personal ones that I'm looking forward to. But you're telling me that Astro's Playroom was better than all of that? I think that's a little bit of a cap, man. Next up here, we have the Red Dragon talking about how PC players only have to pay $9 to get the full Call of Duty Black Ops 6 game on Game Pass. Xbox consoles have to pay $17 to get the full game on Game Pass. Just laughing, crying emoji. Now, one of the interesting things here is that he is actually kind of correct. I did some of these little bit of a research myself, but the $17 is specifically for the Ultimate Edition, which he talks about in this context. Which, by the way, $17 from like the original $15 or whatever the price was originally, that's not that big of a leap. It might go up a bit more now, but that's actually still fairly reasonable. But yeah, of course, you still do have to pay under $10 for that because, again, the PC Game Pass and the PC is different entirely for it. But Game Pass Ultimate, I just wanted to highlight this as one of the descriptions sort of that he talks about here, is that he says Game Pass Ultimate, and it offers the most flexibility and allows you to have your online modes on Xbox and on the Xbox Series consoles and Xbox One consoles, and you get access to the PC Game Pass Ultimate. Will gives you digital cross-gen bundle on Xbox consoles and standard edition on PC Microsoft content. Very interesting. But you get basically both. For both of that, you get the Xbox. Game Pass as well as PC Game Pass. Whereas PC Game Pass only gives you access to the standard stuff on the PC games themselves. You don't get anything from Xbox. If you want to update it to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, that's different entirely. So you basically get like these two things entirely. I don't know why they have it like that, but it's very weird. Then you also get Game Pass Console and Game Pass Core, which is again different tiers, where you get access to games. Online console multiplayer access is required, but it's not apparently in the console Game Pass itself. Very weird. I don't know why. But what's also interesting is that you also have Game Pass Core, which I think is actually the same price as the actual Game Pass PC edition, where it also includes... it also includes the online multiplayer access, which is required for Black Ops 6. Quite weird. So, again, very weird pricing model, but saying that they have to pay $17 for the Ultimate Edition isn't true, as you can, probably just have to play for Game Pass Core and then buy the actual game. So it's only for Ultimate subscribers that it's $17. Very strange, but we have to continue and move on. Next up, we have Snap Blast Play here, which actually just listed out a bunch of the games that I talked about here, where he says that Xbox has too many games and PlayStation has no games. Again, they showed more games at it. This is a clearly disingenuous Xbox-type situation, or Xbox-type cope tweet. But, again... super simple and nothing entirely wrong here, where the really only thing that PS5 seems to have is the Astrobot, at least according to him, which, again, very much not true. They still do have some actual exclusives there. But, again, interesting tweet, because right after this, we then have Tipster, which kind of shows you the duality of man in this context, with once we remove all the games that are coming to PS5 and PC only exclusives... once we're coming to PS5 and PC only exclusives, what does Xbox really have left? Almost 80% of the games in the Xbox Showcase are either on PS5 or on PC, are on PS5 or PC exclusives. Only Xbox can mess this up. And let's go through some of these right now. He says that he says in this quote tweet that they are PC-only exclusives, and talking about the ones that are coming to PS5. Now, I'm unsure if he means like these ones that he X'd out are actually multi-platform, but looking at some of the ones that he actually X'd out here, let's take a look. The ones that he actually has, like, in this tweet that are not X'd out is things like Indiana Jones, Avowed, Flight Simulator, Perfect Dark, Fable, State of Decay, Shattered Space, and South of Midnight, which is still a fairly decent amount of exclusives. They might not be completely exclusives, but they're definitely not Xbox exclusives in terms of them only being on the console. Most of the other games here have clearly been announced for that, and some of the ones that he also X'd out here are actually DLCs, including things like the Fallout 76 DLC, as well as... I think there was one more in there that I completely don't see. Oh, the World of Warcraft DLC. That's the other one. So quite interesting how he just decides to, X out the DLC of games that were released before the acquisition of Bethesda and the whole thing there when they released those beforehand. Quite weird. And again, some of those were actually DLCs and not actually full games, so being more accurate and just being salty about it means that most of those games are most likely coming to PC as well, but again, you clearly just don't care. Someone here then has a naked shot of the Xbox Showcase versus the State of Play, which is basically just a meme of Terry Crews kind of singing to the State of Play, which apparently, again, didn't have as many games as it. And, again, it didn't have as many games as the actual full-on Xbox Showcase, which, again, had quite literally, I think, double the games this year and had some pretty good surprises. So good for them. But again, Xbox can't have enough here. Next up, again, we have Nicola here with a, all right, my turn. The show was great. Xbox's strongest weapon is still the utopian roadmap. 2024, though, remains a wasteland with Avowed and Indie still with no date, and the shadow of multi-platform above them. Jesus Christ. PlayStation will, while annoyingly quiet, had a much busier year, and he lists off the following games of Astrobot, Concord, Destiny, Helldivers 2, Horizons, MLB The Show, The Rise of the Ronin, Stellar Blade, The Last of Us Remastered, and Until Dawn. To go through these very quickly, 3 of those will actually be multi-platform, that being Until Dawn, Horizon Forbidden West, Helldivers, and Helldivers 2, all of which are actually multi-platform on both the PlayStation and the PC. Destiny The Final Shape is actually multi-platform on everything. Concord is coming out on the PC and the PlayStation as well. MLB The Show, if I remember correctly, is actually on Game Pass, or at least one of them is. And Rise of the Ronin, Stellar Blade, The Last of Us Remastered, The Last of Us 2 Remastered, I should say, and Astrobot are really the only exclusives, one of them being a remastered one, the other one seemingly just being an oversized tech demo, but one that actually looks rather fun, while the remaining 2 are okay, one of which was actually censored. So, overall, good showing, I guess. Again, 2 of those games have not released yet, and The Final Shape was actually panned a lot by critics, so did they really have a much busier year if they, don't actually own Bungie and the last good game of The Last of Us, but good in the massivest of quotes that those people have made of Naughty Dog, is a remaster of a game that wasn't even that good to begin with? Like, Nicola, what are you doing here, bro? You're better than this. Next up here, we have Frit with, Free Tanga, which I actually didn't realize was supposed to be Frit, saying, oh shit, they made her look more like the actual actress this time. Which, I will say, in this newer trailer for the Avowed game, is actually a much better improvement. I'm not sure if it was specifically the lighting or like the actual fact of that the character in the first trailer looked like they were made out of Play-Doh, but in this new game, like, that is very nice. Again, not the most attractive person, but definitely far more attractive and more feminine than before, while still keeping a lot of that sort of ambiguous nature of it. And that's, I think, how you should do it. Put it somewhere in the middle in terms of the facial structure, and you can make a fairly decently average-looking person. It doesn't look like they're trying to completely do it. And again, I chalk that up to several different aspects. Maybe it was also the camera angle, and maybe it was also like a first draft of something. But I prefer, if you were to show me these 2 pictures back to back, I would prefer the first picture of how she looks now into the final game, because it not only looks far better, but it also looks far more natural, if that makes a lot of sense, while still keeping that sort of ambiguous look that I guess that they're kind of going for here. But we go from actually good takes to more bad takes from good old King Thrash himself, with a why is every single game, why is it that every single time Xbox has something good going, Phil comes along and kills the joy? Seriously, though, it's wild. Even wilder is these bots never had hold him accountable. I hope you enjoy the 1 hour of good news. Thanks, Phil, for the games on Xbox. And I believe that he's specifically talking about an interview that Xbox did, or Phil Spencer specifically did, where earlier in this, I talked about how they were under consideration for things like Project Latitude, which is bringing over some of their older titles or some of their games onto PlayStation, which I do find quite to be a very bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it works out for him, but a very one that inevitably would end up happening here. So quite interesting. Then over here we have the ADS network saying it's a massacre with the showcase of PlayStation showcase here. And I think that he kind of edited this wrong, where he had the Lego Horizon Adventures one and the Astrobot Playroom, and then had a bunch of the other stuff for the Xbox showcase. But obviously, again, PlayStation did show off more than this, obviously, so this is very disingenuous in terms of like how this game and stuff operates. But I mean, those were really the only two ones of note. And by the way, again, the Lego game is coming out on PlayStation, Switch, and the PC. So congratulations, you have a good multi-platform game in terms of that. And I will definitely probably play it if it doesn't require a PSN account, which I hope it doesn't. Next up here, we have the Red Dragon saying, boom, whole slate. Phil Spencer, our commitment to the fanboys, to the Xbox fans, is you can buy or rent your games to everyone else. Our games are going to more screens, and you will see our games coming to more platforms, and the players on those platforms love that. I mean, okay. I always find it interesting how they always say, when it's coming to my platform, that means that Xbox dying is good. But that means that, like, I get to play these games now, and that means that these people get to suck dicks, and that sucks. To which I look at that, and I'm like, okay, so you get to play more games, but what about the games that you have? Like, no, you can't have our games. Again, very, very weird, hypocritical double standards in the sense that we can port, in the sense that PlayStation shouldn't port games over to other platforms to make more money because it would upset the fanboys. And yet, when other people port their games and exclusives over to PlayStation, that's the best move because, again, PlayStation's the best place to play, despite the fact that they're dwindling in console sales and their stuff is going to stagnate for a while, and they didn't have enough to announce. And they're not even releasing any games this year until, like, 2025, if I remember correctly. So, whoop-de-doo. Or any, like, big exclusives, I should say. So, congratulations. Next up here, we have Excision with his actual thing saying going back to its glory days with Fable, Perfect Dark, and all that other stuff. And kind of doing this whole Ratatouille meme with the Xbox 360 thing. Now, I'm not going to say that, like, all of these are one-to-one correct or one-to-one good, because, again, Black Ops has gone through more than enough things, and this is the newest Black Ops and stuff like that. And it's, again, overall, like, I don't have much else to say on this other than the fact that, you know, they didn't own Call of Duty back then, so you can't really say that that's like a nostalgia thing. But if you just feel nostalgic for the games, that's fine. But if you feel nostalgic for Microsoft owning it, they haven't owned it back then, so it's like whatever. But next up, we have a more interesting and weird take when I brought up some of these other stuff before, and that was someone by the name of Astral Traveler came in and said, I think we can all agree that Lego Aloy looks way better and prettier than the Forbidden West version. Right. Talking, of course, about the Lego Adventures Horizons one versus the actual one. And looking at them side by side, I mean, I can't say that I disagree. So, yeah. To which someone named Inkfish here decides to, of course he has that hashtag in his title, with a, why do feminine characters have to look, quote, good and pretty always? Can't women just effing exist? I mean, yeah. I don't think that that's the point of the tweet, though. I think it was more of a jokey meme type tweet than anything else. But again, I can't disagree and say that, like, the Aloy from the actual games is a good, well-designed character because she's fine, she's serviceable, and I personally don't find her the most attractive, but that's just because I have weird preferences. So, I mean, you can't really chalk that up to me being bad or anything like that because, again, everyone has different preferences. But it's also interesting to note how much different the character is between the two games and how much character is actually portrayed in just this screenshot of the trailer versus just this screenshot of, like, the marketing material. How much character is presented in these two in terms of, like, body language and facial structure and everything. Like, in here, she looks like she's actually having fun and enjoying life, whereas here she looks like you just kind of stepped on your dog and is kind of staring you down for whatever reason. So, yeah. To move on quickly so we can finish out this video, we have the Red Dragon responding to a comment by Adam with a PlayStation players have to pay $70 for the base game, and then he comes back with this and says, and they'll own it forever. Xbox fans will rent it and pay $70 in 4 months and never own it. They'll pay over $200 for a full year and still never own it. This isn't the W you think it is. Or, right, you also don't own it despite the fact that you're actually fucking paying for it. I mean, it's an online service game, and if they shut the servers down, guess what? There goes the game, unfortunately. You're saying like, "Oh, they'll own it forever." No, they'll own it so long as Activision allows you to own it, and as long as the servers for the actual game are up. Like, that's not how this works at all. It's never been how this works. It's fucking stupid to assume that just because you bought the game, you own it. It's been a very widely associated thing that, you don't actually own the games that you buy, and even EA said that. And that sucks, because again, if the project or whatever goes down, you kind of lost access to that game. Whoops. Also, I find it interesting how he says they will own it forever, despite the fact that, again, people paid like $30 for, I don't know, Helldivers 2, and people lost access to that and were gotten refunded for it because of the PlayStation PSN lockdown in that countries. Like you can't buy it in those countries anymore, and they bought it with their own money, but they didn't own it forever. Where's the holding people accountable? God damn it. Anyway, next up we have Hyped, who we again haven't really seen because I haven't seen him on my timeline enough, saying, "Great multi-platform showcase last night. Excited for the games that are coming to PlayStation." And again, looking at the list of games that he has here, it seems that he, again, also didn't seem to get that two of those things that he listed off, actually three of those things that he listed off, are actually, fucking DLCs and are for games that already exist. Unsure if Doom is going to actually make an appearance somewhere else. I didn't really, again, watch this so much. But overall, like, if all of these games are coming to PlayStation, okay, I don't have anything else to really say about that. But again, I just like the fact that he listed off all of these saying, "Oh, coming to PlayStation," and three of those are fucking DLCs for games that already exist, which I think is hilarious. We're going to kind of end this off with an interesting Jeff Keighley tweet. Actually, no, I don't think so. I've talked to her about that. In any case, I think that'll about do it for this episode of The Amount of Salt in these showcases never ceases to amaze me. And I think that'll about do it for this video. If you like what it is that I do and want to support me in any way, shape, or form, please links down to all of the socials in the description below. I will be releasing my next album probably next week. Keep up to date with that, and you can find it on Bandcamp when that happens, and maybe I'll post it even on the Patreon when I upload the full album video, at least onto YouTube. I might have to actually start making a new music channel to post some of my music, so that way people who want to listen to the music can go over there and not I don't flood the main channel with videos of stuff. But we'll see. In any case, thank you so much for watching. My name is GamePenguin21. Don't be a fanboy, and a peace off.